What's up, guys? I wanted to bring you guys another starter deck profile for one of the starter deck rulers. It's Grim Jr., who's of course Grim's son. His real name is like Millium or something, but I don't like saying that because it sounds weird to me, so I'm just going to call him Grim Jr. for the rest of the video. Grim Jr. is actually really cool. It's like the only mono stone deck you can really successfully play right now, and I kind of like it because not only is it like really budget friendly in terms of like the stones not being expensive, but it's really cool that he kind of has like his own playstyle. So on his just ruler side, he has Energized Judgment for 3, and his continuous effect is you can pay the attribute cost of Fairy Tale Resonators with Light Will. So all the stones are just light. There's no dual stones whatsoever or any kind of special stone. It's all just light stones. And there's a reason why I don't play like light and green or whatever. In terms of like special stones, it says light will. It doesn't say it has to be a monocolored stone, but there's a reason why I actually don't play any other colors. So I'll go over it when I go over the resonators though. And then on his J ruler side, it's when this card enters your field, you put a magic stone from the top of your deck into the field. So he technically only costs 2 instead of 3 because then you get another stone. And then he also has that you can pay light only for fairy tales on him. And then whenever this card attacks, so if he declares an attack or blocks, you force one, so you roll a die and then you whatever number it rolls on, so 1 through 6, he gains that many like +1/+1 counters. So it would be like, let's say if you get a 6, he becomes 15/15. And then it's just important to note that for any beginner players that might not know this, let's say if you attack and you force one and you get a 6 and he's 15/15. It doesn't say until end of turn, so it stays forever. But then if your opponent like attacks into Mullivan, it does not count as he's blocking. Blocking has to be actually like declared, so when they attack and you block. So don't think that every time they attack him, you just get to force more. It's only if you actually declare a block. Just wanted to go over that real quick. But there's only like one scenario in where I actually use the J ruler side of that card. Typically, excuse me, I'm still like super sick. But typically I just like to use the ruler side, and then the J ruler side is only played if I want to like push for damage or want to win. But the stone lineup is of course just 10 light. This is my favorite light stone actually. Like, I've always wanted to use it, so I'm kind of happy I can. I think the stone is just really pretty. The foil version is like 50 cents, so it's kind of cool that it's really cheap. But these are probably just like 10 cents or something if you're one of the non-foils. But I just really like the stone. I don't know why. It looks really nice to me. But so for the main resonator of the entire deck, the entire win condition, the reason why I only play mono stones, there is Dreaming Girl Wendy. So Wendy says when a resonator enters the field, a fairy tale resonator enters the field, you can recover her. And then she gains +200/+200 as long as you don't have any special stones. So that's the reason why I don't play any special stones. And then if you have Peter Pan on the field, she gains flying and can't be attacked. So I've said this a lot in like my how to play videos, or kind of like the ones where I try to describe like certain combos and whatnot. But it's very important in Forcible to like get into the habit of, after you recover, if you're open for an attack, you should always swing with what you have. If your opponent doesn't have any like actual blockers, or if you don't have any cards to remove their blockers originally first, just to kind of bait out the waters and see what your opponent's going to do with their mana, because then you can continue the rest of your turn knowing what they're going to do. Once again, you don't like attack if they have like a bigger creature, but if you're not going to like lose a card in the process, or you want to see what they're going to do with their mana, it's always really good to attack first. And this deck is actually like the best deck to like teach players that. So let's say you summon Wendy on turn 1, which is like the time you really want it. You want to open this card no matter what. And then turn 2, you would go like, let's say tap for a stone, swing with Wendy. Let's say they go like, they had summoned the Sacred Elf or whatever, so they go sure. And then they take 4. You can then follow up with like, let's say a turn 2 play, and then recover Wendy, and then swing again. And so that you squeeze in the first 400 damage because they didn't know that you were going to get an additional attack in. And now let's say if they do decide to block the second hit, which they most likely won't, you're squeezing in more damage. So it's really important to always try to squeeze in as much damage as you can with this deck, because you really have to count every number in order to win. And then Peter Pan is the one that typically summons Wendy. The only problem I think I have with this deck is the lack of level 1s. Wendy's the only target, and one other card that I'll get into later. But it's kind of a bummer because like Tinkerbell was just, it seemed really like not good. I didn't want to like spend, like if you summon Tinkerbells and you have Wendy's, it's really insane. But if you summon Tinkerbells and then they like like lightning bolt the Wendy, then it's not insane. And now you're stuck with like a Tinkerbell. So I wish there was a really good one drop. I was kind of hoping like with how the card design has been recently, where a lot of the cards are very ruler specific. Like Christie's really good, but she only works like really well with Featsing with the pump effect. And then like the mana, the fire spell that does 2000 is like with Mars. The one that summons all the monsters is with Mercurius. I wish they had printed like a card like the old Cheshire, so like something as good as like draw 2 and stack 1 or something, but it said like you can only like draw 1, but you can draw 2 and stack 1 if your ruler is Grim Jr. So it'd be really cool if they gave him something like a really good one drop, because as of right now, Wendy's like the only push, and I don't think there's any other fairy tales worth running other than the other one I have. And then for Light Dress Cinderella, this is one of the actual cards that I'm surprised isn't worth more. It comes from the starter deck, so that's probably why, but this card's actually really good. My favorite play is you summon Wendy turn 1, on turn 2 you swing with Wendy, summon Light Dress Cinderella, recover Wendy, swing with Wendy again, and then if they don't kill the Light Dress Cinderella, next turn you get to tap herself to give herself flying, so she taps a recover resonator to give it flying, so you could just target herself, and then you swing to face for 400, you search a fairy tale, which is a fairy tale that's going to recover the Wendy next turn when you swing again, and then you just keep swinging, and it's like it gives you all the cards you need, and it's really really cool because I have the Cheshire combo in this deck, so I wanted to have like extra push, and Cheshire was the only card that seemed really big enough. So it's a 6/6, which is good. It gains either flying, first strike, precision, or swiftness, depending on what card is removed from the game by its own effect. And its effect is during either player's turn, you can pay 0 and you remove a card from your hand from the game. And if like that card has any of those symbol skills, Cheshire gains it as well. And then it gains 100 for each. So the main combo is typically you'll always have one of the combo pieces because I play a good amount of quantity for it. So like Light Dress Cinderella or all the other light cards searches it out. But you technically want to see Snow White with Cheshire. Snow White hasn't seen a lot of play recently, but I think it's really strong again because the 300 damage it does when it attacks can destroy like Sacred Elves. And then not to mention the play is literally like, let's say if your turn 1 was a Wendy and you go swing for 4 on turn 2, summon Cheshire, Wendy recovers, swing for 4, use Cheshire's effect to tag out Snow White, it gives her swiftness and first strike, and then you swing for 7. That's a lot of damage, and if they get scared of like what they're going to do to Cheshire next turn, let's say they use a resource to pop Cheshire, in response on their turn, since you haven't used the effect, you can use its effect to put Snow White back into your hand because you don't want to lose 2 cards, and then you get the Snow White back, and then next turn, let's say if you're open for an attack again, you can go Wendy attack, summon the Snow White now, recovering the Wendy's, attack with Snow White, attack with Wendy again. So Cheshire is just really fun. Even if you don't have the Snow White, I like tagging out the Peter Pan to give it flying, and then on my opponent knows like next turn I have a 7/7 flyer, I'm just going to keep pushing for damage, so they'll want to waste resource on it, and then I'll just put the Peter Pan back, leaving Wendy safe, and then summon the Peter Pan next turn and gain more advantage. So I like the Cheshire and Snow White combo. It's really fun. And then for Little Matchstick Girl, this is like my only removal in this deck outside of Zero's Magic Light. This card's actually really fun to use in this deck because typically like I can't use the matchsticks because they're red. So like I never really draw too many of them. I've had like 1 in my hand before, but the deck has so much search power that I can always get to the Matchstick Girls when they need them. So it's just like I can attack with Cindy and search one of these, or use the spell that searches 2 of them and search 2 of these, and then each turn just summon a bunch of them and keep ditching all these matchsticks to blow up the field. And it's actually really fun. I never liked this card, but it being searchable in this deck actually makes it a ton of fun. And then 3 Captain Hook. This is the only deck I would use this in if you don't have a way to cheat it in or ramp it in, because it's just too slow at 5. But what I like about this deck is it's kind of like a very control aggro deck. So early game, when you're swinging with Wendy and scaring your opponent into having to deal with your early stuff, they tend to burn a lot of resource to get over the little stuff. And so when you start dropping really big stuff, they just don't have any answers left. And with how Hook sets your opponent back a couple turns or can bounce their monsters, it's actually really beneficial to like leave them with nothing. Like if they have not really too many good cards in hand, so you can hit their stones, I mean, not a lot of cards in their hand, you can hit their stones, and then it's like they don't have a response for him next turn anyway. And if they do burn a lot of resource to get over your hook, it's like, sure, I'll activate a spell card, search 2 more hooks, or a hook and something else, and then summon another one, summon another one. Yeah, Millium can go through it really, really quickly, so it's actually pretty cool. And then the only one drop I said I played is a monkey trapped in life. There's literally only like 2 reasons why I play this card, and one of them's like really, really combo oriented, and like I typically don't like those, but this is a good card on its own, so I don't mind. But like sometimes if I have a Wendy and a Peter Pan, I actually really like going into one of this with Peter Pan to summon this instead of another Wendy, just because it's a really safe blocker. A lot of the times, if I'm playing against Feasting and they have like a Christie on the board, I know I have to continuously keep blocking that Christie because she can get really big. So having this is just like really nice because it just keeps going back to your hand, and like losing 100 life isn't that bad. But the play is I literally run 1 Laevateinn because sometimes my opponent is like just in the range of dying, and if you play this, remember, like, never activate this. You never want to play this like if it's in your opening hand because it lets your opponent know you have it. You only play it when you want to swing for games. So let's say if you haven't deactivated yet and this is in your hand, you would kind of just wait and then just go Laevateinn, deactivate attack, and then if you have a zero's magic or a way to remove their blocker like a matchstick or something, you just blow up their blocker and they take like 900 plus force to face. So that's kind of like the main reason I run Laevateinn, but there's a really cool combo with this too. So what you can do is, let's say you went Peter Pan into monkey, they attacked you, you block with the monkey and it's in your hand. Your field is now Peter Pan and Wendy, and it's your turn, you're tapping for like your 4th stone. If you have this in your hand, what you can do is you attack with the Wendy for 4. She has flying because Peter Pan's on the field. They take 4. You attack with the Peter Pan for 5. They take 5. They're at 9. You go summon the monkey, and then Wendy recovers. Wendy swing for 4. They've taken 13. You have 3 stones left. You can then play the Laevateinn, tap it to give your J-Ruler plus 200 damage. You can do this even if he's not on the field. And then Laevateinn's effect is you can banish a resonator to recover it. So you banish the monkey, recover Laevateinn, it goes to your hand. Summon the monkey, Wendy recovers, attack for 4. Banish the monkey, summon the monkey, recover Wendy, attack for 4. And you can just keep doing this. So it's like a very situational play, but if it, like, you want to run one of this anyway just for like the possible OTK, and this card's a good blocker, so if you get the combo off, it's really cool, but if you don't, it's not that big of a deal. But I just thought it was like a really cool combo. Like, I've actually won doing that, so it's really fun. And then the 4 Magic Matchstick, I wanted to play 3, but I realized how good 4 is, only because you can go through multiple Matchstick rolls so fast that it actually doesn't feel situational or dead in your hand, or else I'd probably only want to play 3 because you can't really put them away. But I have never like doubled up on them just yet, like in any of my hands or anything, so it's never been an issue. And then 4 Summoning from the Fairy Tale world. This just searches 2 fairy tales from your deck. I wish it was an instant to make it so I could like hold Zero's magic or this, and then depending on the situation use this instead. But I totally understand why they didn't do that. This card's kind of insane. It would be a little too good if it was quick cast. But what's cool about searching 2 cards is you can either get like Peter Pan and something else that you want to follow up with. You can get a bunch of hooks if it's late game and you know you want to just start spamming them. You can get the Cheshire and the Snow White if you want to do that combo, which is really cool. It just fills up your hand with whatever you need. So there was no reason not to run. I had 3 originally, but I like weirdly didn't ever see it, so I just bumped it up to 4. And then 4 Zero's Magic, even though it's not 0, having a 2-drop that just removes an attacker or a blocker is really important. There's been games where if I deactivate Millium on turn 4, so I have on turn 5 because I have 4 stones, and he enters and I get that the additional stone, so I have 2 open now instead of just 1. I can swing with Laevateinn and then they block and I go Zero's Magic and they just lose because they're that low after the first couple turns. So it's a really, really good card to have. There's no real reason not to run like the Zero's Magic. It's just really, really good no matter what light deck you're playing. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy the deck profile. It's one of the more like interesting decks to play because it plays very differently from all the other decks right now, especially because it tends to have only one color and then just the fairy tales that are multiple colored. So it is really interesting. I wanted to squeeze a Lumia in here too just because I had like light red and blue, but I didn't have any chance to recycle, and the 4,000 heal didn't seem good enough. But you can always try to test that in there too. It seems like a pretty cool concept. If you are siding, interdimensional escape is always really, really good, and I want to actually look into using Bedivere in all my light decks now because Christie and Captain Hook are very relevant. So I think Bedivere should see more play in light decks as well, at least in the side anyway. But those are options if you want to side. And then if you guys do have any other questions or anything wasn't clear, or if you can't understand what I'm saying because my throat is like completely dead right now, just ask in the comment section below, and I'll try to clear anything up just in case it wasn't clear already. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you do because I have a ton of more videos and more deck profiles coming out soon, and I'll definitely catch you guys next time.